Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Dreamland with Sunsail Bob. I am your griot, and I'm here to tell you a story. Remember, everything you hear, don't believe. And this is just a story to entertain. All of you snowflakes should leave now, no matter your age, right? So, it's the picture of me being an anthropologist there, and this is a tribe of Aborigines. That's all that's left. There were about 900 of them in 1969 when the iridium, cobalt, gold, and other precious metals were found out there in the Nookemba, the Northern Territory, near Christmas Creek, between Christmas Creek and Ayers Rock. And the government and the corporations, which are the same thing, basically went out there and just shot everyone in the head. And these folks were out picking berries, right? And they, were missed, right? So there were about 9 of them left. And see, this she was a little girl when this happened. And when I got there, she had been there for about 6 months. She had been taken off to a school to try to be, washed of her aboriginalness, and she had turned into, they trained her to be a nurse, and she just got tired of it and went back home. And there was no guys there, to knock up. But she had been there for about 8 months, and then she got pregnant. And just before I arrived, this baby was born. See that baby? Look what's around that baby's head. A halo. That baby was Jesus Christ, right? I saw her, and that baby in that picture is about 2 months old, right? And by the time he was about 4 months old, he was running around. So, why I was out there was the government of Australia had asked me, because I was, I kind of landed, and I was there with my training wife, my first wife, Donna Ann. One of the best thing to happen to me up until that time. And we met on a subway, the J train going over the Williamsburg Bridge into Brooklyn. And and I'm the first stop, Marcy Avenue, until I got off. And so she. A couple, we kind of looked at each other, talked to each other a little bit. We did the secret handshake. I realized she was a photographer, and she had dropped her lens cap, and it was a Canon screw lens cap, which can only go to a lens that goes onto a Leica body or a Canon knockoff of that. You know, and us artists who had Leicas, we could buy a body for 200 or 300 bucks, but the lights lens were very expensive. But the Canons were just as good, and in some ways better. I had a 22 millimeter great wide angle, and it looked just, I mean, it was an amazing lens. And anyway, she dropped that lens cap. I picked it up, and it said Canon on it. And I tapped her on the shoulder. She turned around and was like, and and she had been checking me out because on the subway it was just dark people and Hasidim. That was it. And we were the only two like Anglos on the train. And when I said, "Hey, you dropped your lens cap, you must have a Leica," and it says Canon on it. So you're a photographer? And that was a secret handshake. I said, "Yeah." And so we talked a little bit, and as we're going over the thing, I said, "See," she goes, "Where do you live?" I said, "See that big building there on the water? She goes, "Yeah, see that pyramid on top?" "Oh yeah." "Well, that whole lot is mine. And you're the guy who has a flying saucer on top of the building." And what I had done was I had taken all these fluorescent lights that were in that factory that didn't work, and I fixed them, and I strung them around the top of the building, and I sequenced them mechanically. With this device that had a little motor, and it go click, 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 and like the lights would go on. So it kind of, you know. Anyway, so she she goes, "That's where you?" I said, "Yep, yep, yep, yep." Girl again, and I get off the car at this door. And she gets off at that door, and the train pulls away, and we're on the platform, and the crowd rushes off, and I look at her. She looks at me. Oh, I said, yeah, this is my. She goes, oh. So we go down the stairs and onto Broadway, and we're going down to where Roebling's is. And I said, well, I live just, you just go down straight down there to the very end where it juts off this way, and Roberto Clemente is over there in a big building, and you go to this, big loading dock, and there's no door, but there's a big hole there with a doorbell. You push that elevator will show up, and this big black man, Kirby, you say, where's Al? He'll take you to me. So she went up the other way. I went up that way. And I went back to my place, and I was sitting up at my writing desk and looking out at the beautiful view from the Statue of Liberty, the 59th Street Bridge, all of Manhattan. And now all of that, which had been burnt down, it was like end of World War II, looked like Berlin. It's all condos. Wayne's Brooklyn is like where the rich people live, right? And I used to fix the old Jewish guys' machines in their factories. And this one old guy on Broadway, he had 9 buildings. And, he thought, if I had a son, I'd like him to be like you. And I used to go to the yeshiva, and so his rabbi was my teacher. And so I was in, and he says, I need $75,000 to get to Florida. Why don't you just buy this? And I have 75 grand. And so I, got my dad, who's, that's like chump change to him. And he was like looking around, oh, this is terrible crap. Oh, this is worthless. Oh, this is terrible. And he basically, so listen, why don't I just Jew you down? And this guy is a Hasidic. And the guy goes, what? He said, oh, yeah, I'll give you 25,000. What? And so they got actually into a fist fight, and I turned around and walked away. And that was, I didn't see my dad for another 4 years or so. And about 20 years or 15 years later, my godson, who is worked for Marriott and bought real estate, right? And then they built hotels. He bought just one lot of those 9 or 7 buildings, I forget how many, and Marriott paid $1.8 million for that one lot. And that's my dad, So always being right, a triple Virgo. And that's the problem of being a triple Virgo. So anyway, Donna, within hours of me meeting her on the subway, she, boom, 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 boom on the door. I slide the fire door open, and there she is with Kirby. He said, "The girl's looking for you, Al." He kind of giggles, and he, kind of ushers her in, and she's, oh, wow. Oh, this is so nice. Look at the view. I said, oh, yeah, it's a nice view. Oh, you have a kitchen. Oh, yeah, I got a kitchen. She looks, oh, you have a toilet. Oh, yeah, I got a toilet. Got 2. Oh, you got a bathtub. Oh, then you got a washer dryer. Yep, got one of those. She nearly has a heart attack. She goes, you have a dark room. And I said, yep, got a dark room. And she starts crying. And, oh, sweetie, what's wrong? She goes, I live in a storage bin. Oh, and I have to shit in a bucket. So I said, oh, baby, move in here. Can I? Bing. So that's how Donna Ann and I kind of, hey there, Sandra. Hello, Bob. And we started a photo studio called DNA, Donna and Al, right? And we traveled the world. She hadn't been out of the country, and we got her passport. And first trip we took over, good old Freddie Laker, went to England, met her family there, Betty and the kids, and we went to Ireland and met her family in Ireland, and then got a little apartment in London outside of Paddington Station, and did a couple of photo jobs. And that's where we got married. And then we went over to see my buddy B, who's a musician in Sweden, and he kept trying to kill himself. So I said, "Man, you don't need to kill yourself. You got a beautiful wife, beautiful kids, beautiful life. What do you just forget about it? Let's go on a vacation." And so in Sweden, they had this thing where the government basically got everyone a vacation. And people go, "Oh, socialism! Oh, God, it's so bad." Well, in America, we got socialism. It's just for corporations and rich people. When Donnie Trump passed a $2 trillion tax, freeze on corporations and giveaway, that's socialism right there. The oil companies getting money for drilling oil. That's socialism. They don't have to pay tax on it. That's socialism. Where the farmers get all these subsidies not to grow anything. That's subsidism. That's socialism. The big pharma. This amazing vaccine for 19 is. Oh, we got to charge a lot of money. We don't want to give up our the secret sauce because we'll never invent another thing again if we can't make money off it. Well, the federal government gave them billions to do that. That's socialism. But healthcare, like I can't even get a pair of orthopedic shoes. So my feet are like, it's really, because why don't they want? Because the company, the people, um, the doctor, the foot doctors, and my doctor, they don't want to, like I have to go now to have an operation on my feet in a few minutes, and I just thought I'd, spend the last with you guys. Um, basically, for 5 months they've been going, oh, we can't get you any orthopedic shoes, because they can only make $20 on my orthopedic shoes. But my legs go really south and they have to cut them off. They'll make $100,000, and that's American medicine. You know. Oh, but we can't have single payer. No. Oh, and my God, pay people $15 an hour. When back in 1971, I would pay people off the street to be my electric helper, $15 an hour. Because they needed it. Right? And 1 out of 2 became really good. So it wasn't bad. So. So anyway, how long I'm going to be around, who knows? But I'm still working on my novels. I'm knocking out Legend. So go to xratted.blogspot.com. And my the other thing, my PayPal. I want to thank you all for whatever you've thrown into it. No one's thrown anything into it. No, in the last month or two. So, and that's my one little cushion. My one thing that's outside the realm of my Social Security, right? And I'm pretty good at holding. I can live on $400 a month. Pretty well. Whereas rich people, like Jeff Bezos, the federal government gave him a $10 billion check. Because he lost out to Mr. SpaceX, and he wants to, so it'd be much better if we had 2 companies, competition, like really competition because between one moron and the other moron, and he's going to go up in space, he's going to be. Anyway, so Sandra, what's going on in your world? What's happening? Yep, so I have to go get my foot operated on because they can't give me a pair of orthopedic shoes. And they're, I'm going to be Mr. Well, what are you going to do? How are you going to do it? You're going to go into the derma or what? You're going to go after my fascia, how long is this open source? Right now, it's just callus, but with guys who have diabetic feet, that's not good. So it's like Al Qaeda. It's a place for the bugs to hide. And they gave me this antibiotic right off the bat. I said, wait, and they gave me this antibiotic, and I said, well, you don't want to get strep, and so I said, how about an X-ray first? Oh, yeah. So they went me over, and I said, why don't you X-ray both my legs? And they wouldn't, just my toe. There's nothing wrong with it, really, except I don't have orthopedic shoes, so it's squishing my toes and causing it to have that callus. I mean, it's Occam's razor. It's nothing. You don't have to go for the biggest, worst thing, Anyway, so back to this guy. These guys, right? So the big splat, right? So this guy right here, he was like he was the male elder. He was around before white people showed up. At least, I mean, he's way up there, so they had showed up probably 50 years before they got out to him. But she was the female elder, right? And so these people were the most brilliant. They could go through space and time without any machine, right? That's where I got to understand dream time. And so I was sent out there because the English government wanted to have the Olympics in Sydney, and the general, people, the UN, those kind of guys said, I don't know, you keep killing all these Aborigines, you're worse than South Africa, and it's terrible, and they kind of were worse, and so it's like American Indians in Canada and the United States, the numbers of women who go missing they don't even count them because they're Indian. Doesn't matter, And that is the same thing with Black Lives Matter. There's something on the order of 8 million people arrested average every year. That's a lot of people, more than any place else in the world. America arrests more people and puts more in jail than any place. We do more than put all of Europe together. We do more than all of Europe, right? So, and out of that, maybe 14 to 20 black people get whacked by the police, right? And, maybe 10 white people, and then maybe an unknown number of everybody else. Because, if you're not black or white, they don't really keep the statistics. And they don't really keep the statistics, meaning that is just the statistics that we are told. We have no idea what the real number is. But between the 8 million people arrested every year, not, if thousands were getting whacked, that would be, But, as they say, and the first day I went to a demographic class, and my teacher said, okay, kids, I'm going to teach you how to lie with numbers. And that's kind of, so demography and the numbers game is just that, numbers game. So, but you have to look at the trend, at the bigger picture. And so what, you have to realize America, the Anglo-imperial world is racist, period, and that's what anthropology was invented, was to prove that white men were superior to everyone else, so it was okay for them to take other people's stuff, So there we were in Australia, and there's my little dingo dog trying to drag me into shamanic dream time. The dingo is, and that's why the Australian government tried to get rid of dingoes, is because, what is that little dog? I mean, they're all little dogs. Is that little dog a threat to, life, limb? No, but he is a spirit. He's like one of the only physical representations that really is there, that is a spirit guide, and and so that guy came out of the hills and just stuck himself to me. He was always there, always watching out for me, right? And so I was prized to find these guys sacred sites, right? And put them on a top map so the coal company and the miners couldn't just rip and tear, right? Because one of the liberal folks that had a picture of the Sistine Chapel and Ayers Rock and said, it's the same thing, which it is. And so they took me, and they knew I was coming before I even came to Australia. They had seen it, right? And so we had gone through all kinds of ceremonies and just living like they do. I mean, I used to eat all. There's no supermarket. You eat what they give you, right? So I would eat this stuff, and it was like great until I asked what it was, and I kept asking, "This is great." And so they took me to a tree, pulled off the bark, the little grubby things. They were there, and then they smashed it with a rock, and then they handed it to me. So that's it. I said, but it tasted like fried, pork rinds and chocolate and sprinkles. And they said, well, that was what your mind was seeing it, and that's what your taste buds tasted, and that's why you love it so much. But no, it's the grubs, and when I hit it with a rock, that chocolate sauce is their blood, and the sprinkles is their poop, and that's what you've been eating. So I never asked them. They said, "So, how does it taste? It tastes like chicken." So, and so I lived with those guys for almost a year. And he took me to all these sacred sites, and I put them on my map. And then when the boys from the head office tried to find them, they couldn't. And they said, "What are you doing? We didn't find any sacred." They were expecting to see some, but no, it's like energetics of the space. Right? Tried to explain it to them. So they came all the way out to see me and had tents and this and that. And two of them got bit by these redback spiders and died. And so they left quickly. And I had been out there with Donna Ann for almost a year because we were eating what they were. Those insects weren't drawn to us, but those white folk from the home office were drinking Coke and cheeseburgers, and the little spiders were in their beds, and we were sleeping on the ground where the little spiders don't like. And how can you sleep on the ground? I said, well, I have a tarp over the ground. But why don't you have a tent and a bed? I said, well, we don't have that. You didn't give us money for that. We don't have a car. We didn't, we took the bus here, you know. And then 2 days later, the head guy and his girlfriend, grad student, both got bit by a redback spider. That they bite you 3 minutes, you're dead. In Melbourne, those redback spiders like to hang out on the toilet bowl. So whenever you go to any bar, it says, by law, you have to check that toilet. Don't sit down until you made sure there's no redback spiders. In Melbourne, 10, 15 people die of getting bit in the butt by redbacks. Where did Bob go? He went to the toilet. They go in there, he's slumped over, he's turning black. So that's Australia. They think they are like, conquering nature. Not really. So the big splat. It's the big splat. So one of our little, my grandfather David would say, we're going to have a walkabout. So we'd walk and walk and walk and walk and walk. And he'd show me something. We'd do a ceremony. We'd go someplace, and I was being initiated. And so we're like in this big valley, and it's surrounded by mountain range. And the big valley looks like desert, but it used to be beautiful grassland until the English brought cows and sheep that ate it down to the ground, and then the big floods would come, right? And we're walking by a tree, and there's a car, like an old Chevy, stuck up in a tree, and it's spray painted on the door. Flood of 70, a flood of 68. Because it was 77 when we were there. So we're walking. It's a beautiful sunny day, not a cloud in the sky. And, the guy turns to me and goes, see over that mountain, that cliff over there on top of that mountain? I said, yes. He goes, you think you can get up there in the next 20, 30 minutes? And I said, what? That's like from where we are to where the mountain starts is like 2 miles, and then that's about a mile straight up. 20 minutes, and he just takes off. And he turns back and says, well, you can stay there and die, or you can try and keep up with me. And I'm in pretty good shape. I'm 27 years old. I'm running right behind him. And my legs are way longer than his, but he's like pulling away from me, right? So, he's going and he's going and he's going. And I get to this point where, I get up top and I'm like, and he hands me the water bottle. And I go, why did you make me do that? Was this a test or something? Like, so what's up? And he goes, turn around. I turn around. And on the other side of that valley, there's a wall of water that's about 20 feet high. And behind it is gigantic black storm. And he said, look where we were. And we were, and that wall of water was coming right towards where we were. And by the time he finished, said, look over there, that's where we were. And if we had been there just talking, 20, 30 minutes ago, we would be dead. And then, never to be seen again, because that gigantic wall of water would have just crushed us and mushed us into rocks and stones. And so I said, whoa. And it was kind of coming right at us. And I said, so what's up? He said, well, I had us climb up here because look at that. So that cliff underneath it was a nice, not, it was outridge, meaning there was it was a cave, but not too deep. It didn't go all the way all over the place. It went in about 20 feet. And in there was a pile of wood, right? And a little bag, and in the bag there were provisions and other stuff to start a fire. And, so, we started a fire, we chomped on the little cookies that were in there. And there was a couple cans of beer. And we waited the storm out. And the way that out thing was, no rain came in. It was like rain like you can't believe, but it was going not in, but sideways. So, that's the big splat. And here we are. It's just about to start to rain. It's going to rain for the next 10 days. Every freaking day. And that's the thing that got my toes, because my shoes are porous and I don't have really good shoes. And all my shoes I got at the Goodwill for like $3 because that's all I can afford. And so that's where we're at. That's what the big splat's coming. And it's going to be a multiple of things. Internet's going to go down. Bye. Like before Halloween, everything, all the big splat is coming. There's little chunks of it already. You can see it kind of nibbling away. The oil pipeline thing, the solar wind hack, the meat hack, all these hacks. That is their euphemistic saying of their system is crashing, and they don't want to say, oh, that was like a IT crash. No, it's a hack. We were attacked. And so then they gasoline's going up 20 cents a gallon, across the board. So they made money on it. Meat, I don't really eat that much meat. And so that went up, 40% across the board. Food across the line is going, and I don't eat processed food, and I eat what they're about to throw away, so I'm eating really relatively well, and my garden's doing pretty good. And I got stuff in the woods to eat. So it's a very interesting time. So the internet's going to go down. In the United States, we are going to have a 19 variant spike that will make India look like, a hot fudge sandwich, So, and who it's going to go after will be the young, not the old. Old guys like me I got my jab. It should, the jab and all the crap they give me is like just making me sick. But if I don't take it, then they don't give me any health care. Oh, you're not going to do it, so why should we spend the time with it? So anyway. And it's also, they gave me this antibiotic, full spectrum. I just wanted to see what it would do. And I had different things going on in my body. I had a little thing going on in my ears, a little thing going on in my shoulders. And I have to say that it killed everything. Now it clogged my colon, the dead biome of my colon, but I'm trying to build that back with yogurt and other little guys. And so it's all good, at least for me, it's all good. It's really pretty. It's really, even when it rains, it's. So it's going to be interesting. Some friends are coming to visit soon. Let's see how they can handle living in the woods. Because I suggested that they, up the road there was an Airbnb. Oh yeah, it's too expensive. I said okay. And so they'll have to live like me. See if they can handle that. And other people around me, I invite them to dinner. Like the new neighbors I have. I invite them to dinner every time I see them. Hey, come on by. Oh, we'll be there. And they never show up. And then, the next day, so what'd you have? Oh, I had a nice potato. I had a really nice thing I made yesterday. Potato, chicken, vegetable casserole, right? And it was yummy, 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 yummy. And I had a old grandma gave me a German apple pie, and so and I had a bottle of wine. I cracked the bottle of wine. I waited 2 hours for him to show up. Never showed up. I put the casserole away. I'll have the rest of that tonight. Anyway, I saw him this morning. I said, "So what'd you have?" I said, "Why'd you come?" I mean, oh well, we got back home, and I said, "So did you buy that ice cream for the cake?" Because I invited them. They were going out to this. And I said, "Hey, you want anything?" I said, and they said, I said, "Yes, get some ice cream, cherry ice cream or the 3 flavor chocolate, vanilla, strawberry ice cream." And so they, coming back, I was at the bottom of my property. I couldn't run up the hill to stop them to see if they got the ice cream or stop them and say, "Come on, let's have dinner now." But they didn't. And so I saw him this morning, and I said, "So what happened?" I said, "Oh, that ice cream was so expensive, $3." I said, "Really? You couldn't spend 3?" Okay. And I helped them, move in and do all kinds of stuff. I mean, I had a hand truck. I had all the things they needed. If they had to drive 40 miles to rent one and come back, And I've been there for him, and he couldn't spend $3 for ice cream. Anyway, and then they said, "Oh, we got home," and then we started watching a movie. I said, "So what'd you have for dinner?" And he said, "Oh, we had Pop-Tarts and a frozen pizza." So that's the difference in life. Me, I kind of eat from the woods and and have a really good meal, and him, processed food, Pop-Tarts, frozen pizza. So, that's the world we're looking at. And the big splat's going to wipe that thing. If you ever go see a movie called The Last Wave, it's pretty much it. And the mutant message from Down Under. I mean, I experienced both of those. So, let's see. It's 10:03. It's time for me to go. Again, thanks for whatever you dropped into my PayPal. Go to PayPal. And when they ask for, what email do you want us to send this to, that's the dudeawake42@gmail. Dudeawake42@gmail, right? And maybe I'll come on a little later. Maybe. Depends on how the operation goes. And if I have any toes left. And so that's about it. And I saw a guy yesterday, and he had the big boot on his leg, meaning they chopped off some of his toes. And he had a walker. I don't want to be that guy. So let's have some prayers for Al Bob. sensei, and I'm energetically making sure it all goes well. So you guys stay well. I'll talk to you later.